Hello and welcome to the Cargo Bay Year-End Spectacular.
Ooh,
Ooh, that was
ahoy!
new. A Star Wars conversation podcast being transmitted to you from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I am Brady C here with my co-host as always.
It's Adam B. How you doing, BC?
Ooh, I'm good. We had to record immediately because that email that we haven't checked for months flooded with comments, concerns that we haven't released an episode in a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, we got. I got a text message from our email server. They said, "Look out! ProtonMail.com is going to have severe issues if you don't clean out your inbox." You
I
know,
received, I guess someone reported me missing. I got an Amber Alert for myself. My phone just started buzzing and it was my name. So obviously, we had to record. For those of you who may not have been looking, you could have also just found us on the Normies Like Us feed most recently, where we talked all things Star Wars, the holiday special, which was a treat, I think, for both of us.
yeah. Obviously, we're a little past Christmas here, but we were already well past Life Day when we recorded the Life Day special. So I don't,
It's
I don't
true.
think you're gonna feel out of season to catch that now.
Also, if you're familiar with the holiday special at all, basically has nothing to do with the holidays, so it's evergreen content any time of year for the
Yeah,
holiday special.
yeah. Not so holiday, a lot of special. Um,
Well, that's debatable.
I don't know. I'd challenge you to find anything else ever broadcast that's quite like it, VC.
That's true. I don't think I would be able to find anything quite like that.
Have you done any interesting Star Wars things here in the past couple weeks?
As a matter of fact, I have. Thank you for the question. So, recently, Christmas was upon us, and I was gifted a wonderful Star Wars thing. My
Oh,
partner
you were a
knowing
good boy.
I was good this year.
I wasn't sure
Um,
you were gonna make it this year, V.
I was close. I was on the border of that naughty list. I was gifted this Cassian Andor
Look at the guy's
pop.
head bobbling.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take him in or kill him. So we got that. I got an Ahsoka pop as well. Oh, I also hold on. I got this. Wait for it. Wait for it. I got this guy. This
Whoa, whoa!
this Lego set here.
That's
The
sick.
Clone Wars Lego set. And then I also got the Dagobah diorama set, which was high on my list. So I've got which I saw you also have now, the Death Star Run diorama. I
Yes.
got the Dagobah, and I think this year they're going to do some Return of the Jedi stuff in those dioramas. So I'll be able to do like a, you know, New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi sort of diorama thing. So
Man, you
I've
did
been
have a
engrossed in
Star
some
Wars Christmas.
Legos abound. I did buy the Star Wars Lego complete saga for the PlayStation 5 when
Oh
it was
yeah,
on holiday sale. I haven't really dipped into that yet, but
highly
I've got
enjoyable.
that on the queue.
You
What
got it
about
with all the
you?
extra skins and things.
Duh, dude.
Nice.
Of course. What
Um,
about you? It's been so. I mean, we did talk the holiday special. I don't know, it was like over a week ago, but we haven't really connected much because it's the holidays and we've been busy.
busy.
We're
We're
busy
busy.
people. That's right. So what about you?
I did get finally my copy of The Force Unleashed Wii version remastered and ported to the Switch. So that's been some wonderful nostalgia. Um,
Nice.
and I've been listening to Star Wars audiobooks, but I really do just consume those as background noise a lot of the time. Like I'm 4 books deep into the X-Wing series, and I can vaguely tell you what's happened in those. I can tell you that a lot of times they're shooting laser beams at TIE fighters. That does happen quite a bit.
Well, that's exactly what I would want out of a series like that. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you have like a secret source for getting all these, or are you paying sticky price for
I
the audio versions?
I just stayed subscribed to Audible, so there's a lot of times that I just have like, credits built up. So
Mm,
I've spent all those. I might have purchased an extra 3 credits once this year. But also, I've just had the service for a long time, so I have a lot of backlog Star Wars books,
Gotcha.
in there.
Gotcha.
Oodles and oodles of them, in fact, and I re-listen to them because, again, I listen pretty passively. I don't remember. A lot of Star Wars books are just the right level for me to not care. Like it's not it's not fantastic literature all the time. So I just kind of let them play.
It's like a good background filler.
Yeah, yeah. There are some good ones out there.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, we're winding down this year. We're going to do a little sort of year-end review. A little, the new year is always a time for a reflection. So we're going to be doing a little bit of reflecting on this year, 2022. I think this is by far the year that I have spent the most time with diving into Star Wars as we talk about it basically on a weekly basis, as it has been this year, and has been thoroughly enjoyable. But it has sort of, I've broadened some horizons, dipped my toe into some of the the novels, the High Republic stuff. We've been introduced to adventure journals, which we found out existed this year thanks to the Wheel of Content.
Oh, the
And it's
wheel. We should spin the wheel before we get out of here.
I think we should do a wheel spin before the end of the year, as we are winding down rapidly. The end of 2022 as we're recording here. But yeah, in terms of the year in review, we do want to celebrate some Star Wars things and give some awards. And now I know you in particular, you've got some audio awards from these books that you have been listening to. And I got to say, I'm on the edge of my seat for this because it feels like we've got some really good quality awards to give out here.
Well, BC, I'm a little disappointed, and I have a bone to pick with one Jeffy Bezos. Jeff Bezos, listen up, buddy. I don't use Amazon. I haven't used Amazon for years. You got me on the hook for Audible, baby, because there's not another service out there like it. And audiobooks are like $40 a pop if you don't have some sort of subscription service. So you got me. But let me tell you, when you tell me I can make a clip of something, but the only way I can access that clip is to click on the actual book and go see if I have a clip of the thing somewhere in there or not, that's a bummer, Jeffy B. Why don't you put all my clips in one place in some grand library of the Republic of audio clips? So
I'm gonna fire off that email to him right now.
Thank you
just to
for
make sure he's
doing
on that. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, my point is, I thought I had a lot more clips. I didn't. It took me a really long time to find out that I didn't, because you had to click on books individually. But I did have a few highlights that I had saved that I thought were worthy of thrown out there. The cargo babies to bring you along on the ride I've taken this past year, because I think I've listened to 12 to 15 Star Wars audiobooks. And there's a lot of interesting things that happen in those books, especially since a lot of them are old EU books. So for the first award I would like to give today, Mark Thompson reading what was the book? Oh, The Fallen Star, which is a High Republic book. This is the Oh My Award. And so, BC, if you're on your end, you want to play that clip for yourself, I'm going to play that right now.
The Oh My Award.
The LT-16 droid chirped, still almost vibrating with borrowed power. Oh my, scans incoming.
There you go. That was Mark Thompson reading LT-16. That's the Oh My Award. Being from Arkansas, BC, the Oh My Award holds a very special place in my heart. So congratulations to Mark Thompson. And don't leave the podium, Mark, because you've also won the award.
Whoa!
The Worst Voice Award.
Oh my.
Here is Chief Joko from Star Wars Thrawn, as read by Mark Thompson. I'm going to play that right now.
The reports of my clan's folk are true and accurate. The humans from the Hollenside Enclave have crossed the border on many occasions, stealing and mistreating our crops and attacking or burning our farm structures.
Thank you, Mark Thompson. Congratulations. BC, I just want to imagine that maybe you're trying to enjoy your morning workout and you get several chapters in a row that heavily feature Chief Joko.
What was that?
That I forget what Chief Joko is. I do remember that they appear to be giant stick bug people. But yeah,
right.
Chief Joko, great performance.
And that explains the audio effect on the voice.
Yeah,
that exists.
that is just what they sound like. It does in the book say it is a grating voice to listen to. So
well, that's what I want out of an audiobook experience, to have something that's actually grating. That's nice.
And VC, there's one more thing that I want to play here today, which is maybe the standout scene in all of the books I listened to this year. So the scene of the year is going to go to an X-Wing novel. It's a chunk of an X-Wing novel where Wedge Antilles is going to talk to a Bothan about her relationship with Gavin Darklighter, who is Biggs's younger cousin. Biggs is long dead. He's slotted into Rogue Squadron. He's a really happy, naive character amongst the bunch. And this Bothan is an experienced lady pilot. Any questions?
Let's just take the ride.
All right, this is a long one, but I think it's worth it. So buckle up. Here we go.
Wedge caught the eye of a black and white furred Bothan female. Sylar, if I could have a moment of your time.
Oh.
Yes, Commander.
2 things I want to discuss. The first is Gavin. A seer blinked with surprise that flowed out into her fur.
I was under the impression that pairing among members of the squadron was not prohibited.
Wedge frowned for a moment. Regardless of what was or was not happening between Arisi and Corrin, or what is or is not happening between Rasati and Nawara, the big difference between those situations and your situation with Gavin is that Gavin's barely 17 years old.
Are you ordering me to stop seeing him?
Wedge laughed. No, not at all. You've only been out twice.
Have
It's
you
only a couple
had
dates.
someone watching us?
No. And that's just the point. Gavin is so taken with you that his enthusiasm isn't always kept under control. He's very happy to let others know how much fun you're having together doing all the things you have done. It's all very innocent and natural, but it's also a sign of his falling in love with you. He may not quite be there yet, but he'll be hurt badly if you pull away from him abruptly after too much longer. I don't want to see him hurt. So, if you don't really care for him, let him down easy and now, please. A seer's chin came up, and defiance blazed in her eyes.
What makes you think I might be toying with him?
The second thing I want to discuss with you does, Sylar. I wonder if you don't have another agenda that you're working on. Wedge met her hot stare unflinchingly.
All right, there you go. We have Wedge Antilles with some fatherly advice.
Wedge met her hot stare unflinchingly might be the sentence of the year.
Oh, wow. Well, if I could have gotten individual sentences out of more books, I think we would have had quite a
Some
myriad
more
of
contenders.
options. But I do want to say that clip was heavily abridged. Wedge gives quite the talking to in that scene. So I think about a third of that chunk of the conversation has been cut down.
I want to focus on this just to derail our entire podcast briefly to discuss some of what's going on here. So this is you say a what is her species? Banthan woman?
A Bothan. You know, the Bothans.
Bothan.
So part of the political thing happening here, and part of why Wedge comes in with that second punch in the end that to say that maybe you have ulterior motives, is that the Bothans, many of them died to get the Death Star plans. But then the Emperor was like, I did that on purpose. I leaked those plans, right? You know, it was a trap.
Mm.
So the
Ah.
Bothans, they feel really like their sacrifices haven't been recognized enough by the New Republic.
Ah.
So that's where we are. We have a Bothan who is, yes, a kind of imagine a lion head on a short-haired human body.
And they're kind of doing some over the pants stuff with a 17-year-old.
I think they I think maybe some above and under the pants. Part of what I abridged alludes to that maybe there are some personal things that he does keep secret, but a lot of it he's not going to. And there is a very dramatic sequence, spoiler alert, later in that book where Gavin Darklighter has just witnessed someone who has been trapped with a plague dying and their body like slowly decomposing in front of him. And she has to rush in and, you know, heal the man, heal Gavin, bring him.
Of course,
she's a very she's pretty motherly. it's a screwed up relationship. Doesn't seem great.
Kind of a weird grooming kind of thing going on here.
Yeah, a little bit. But they're also, you know, they're both pilots who plan to die every mission. So just give it some leeway. I guess legal age is 17 in the New Republic because he's also at war. I don't know.
Sure. That all tracks. Fantastic job, Star Wars.
So yeah, that speech, I'm just gonna give that to the book instead of to the reader there. So there you go. I believe that's from the Back to War. It could be wrong. For the Krytos trap.
well done to that. Yes. Again, the year of 2022, a year where we're really getting to dive into some of those unknown corners of the Star Wars universe that were previously unknown to us, and now we are all familiar with that moment. So, thank you for bestowing that gift upon us all. That was wonderful.
Very welcome.
So I do want to go genuine to a larger I don't know if we would call this an award, but 2022 filled with many moments Star Wars related. Do you have a standout, a favorite Star Wars moment?
I do
from
BC.
the year 2022.
What has continued while many moments I'm just gonna say from Andor. All of my top 10 moments are from Andor.
Yeah,
there's a lot of moments that stick out for me, but the one that is played in my head over and over again the most is Luthen in the changing room, putting on his wig, doing the little hand flip. I made a GIF of it before that was easily accessible, so yeah, it's burned in my brain. That's my Star Wars moment of 2022, and it's not just how amazing the moment is; it's also what it represents, which is a complex and well portrayed character. Living in these different sides of the different political venues of the Star Wars universe. Mwah.
Yeah, I love that moment. It's one of the best, I think, early moments from the beginning of Andor, where we were kind of like, I think we're onto something special here. I do want to give a shout out, and this is not my moment of the year, but I do want to shout out in particular from the beginning. I believe it's the first episode of Andor, when Cyril is with his superior officer,
yes,
who is giving him the rundown of like, it sounds like those two guards that were murdered probably had it coming, so let's just ignore this.
Yeah.
As one of my favorite moments that has happened this year.
Agreed. Yeah, that was in my quiver as well. Yeah.
Such a minor, such a small thing, but when you look at what that brick means and the house that is Andor, it is such a foundational piece that I go back to over and over again, and I really do love. I do keep going back to, for my moment of the year though. Shout out Luthen, the speech on the bridge. I keep thinking about his speech on the bridge. It is in a lot of ways kind of different than the simplicity or the subtlety of the moment that you have, but it is a natural extension of what that is because we get to see the full force of what his fight is, what that little hand gesture wave represents, and he actually puts voice to what it is that he is fighting for. The performance, the writing, all of that are just like, I think about it like fairly regularly, where I'll just be like, man, that was fighting, that we get the cost of the fight for Star Wars. So shout out to Stellan Skarsgård. Shout out to Luthen. Moments of the year. I think it's safe to say we're a couple of Andor boys. So shout out to Andor.
Yeah, BC. In that particular scene, I want to shout out the 2 blinking amber LEDs far down the hallway that are in just the right place.
And it's like the iconography of a Star Wars scene on a bridge exists, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't go into that lightheartedly. Like it
narrow bridge with no railing. We got a dramatic scene here in the Star Wars.
This is Star Wars. Like this is as Star Wars as we can set a scene. We are on a narrow bridge. There's 2 characters facing off against each other. You can think of Luke and Vader. You can think of Han and Kylo. There's a lot of that imagery that exists. I think this joins the pantheon of great Star Wars moments set on a bridge. So
well, I can throw one more runner-up in there, because I would have also mentioned the runner-up you did, but in lieu of that, BC, I mean, we got Marv Andor's brick hitting a stormtrooper in the head. It's hard to beat that as a moment in Star Wars as well. So shout out to that. Then I'll be satisfied.
Yeah, and Andor may come up. We are going to be talking more on the air about our year-end list. But before we do that, we want to create a couple of awards that are going to join the coveted Ewan McGregor Award. The Ewan McGregor Award, of course, given to the person or performer or artist or individual who most exemplifies the spirit of Ewan McGregor by being really good in something that may potentially be subpar. Now we are going to be creating in honor of Cyril Karn's performance, the Cyril Karn Award, which will be given to the most condensed character growth and or development by a character. That's being added to the pantheon.
Wonderful.
And I think we can also add what we are just going to call the Andor Award for surpassing the quality and standards of Star Wars for any piece of content that comes out. So anything that meets the Andor standard for surpassing the quality of typical Star Wars will receive the coveted Cargo Bay Andor Award. So be on the lookout for those in 2023 because we've got a slate of things coming out in 2020. Look at everything that has already come out. We've got in just a few days Bad Batch Season 2 on the horizon.
Could it win an Andor Award? We don't know.
We will see. We will have to wait and see. We have got Mandalorian Season 3, or a continuation of the Book of Boba Fett, where we had half of an Mandalorian season. So that will be coming out. We've got Ahsoka coming out. We've got Jedi Survivor, the video game, coming out. We've got, I know what you're looking forward to the most, Jude Law's Skeleton Crew coming out.
Visions 2.
Visions Volume 2.
Star Wars Hunters.
Man, I will say, I forget that Visions 2 is on the list, and I am continually excited that that's coming back because I loved Visions Volume 1, I guess is what we're calling it now.
It's really wild how much Star Wars content came out this year. And Visions, did it drop at the end of 2021 or was it in 2022?
I feel like it was end of 2021, but let me just double check.
Well, I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna count it toward this year in review anyway.
Yeah, why not? September 2021. It's basically 2022.
Oh, okay. It's been a while since Visions 1. Wow, it's really weird that Star Wars Episode 6 came out this year, and we got... all right, well, that makes me feel a little bit better. But yeah, BC, it's going to be a busy year.
Is there one of those that you've got your eye on the most, that you're most looking forward to?
I mean, yeah, Mando Season 3 is what I care about most, for sure. And aside from that, I guess maybe even more than I wanted Mando season 3, I wanted a sequel to Fallen Order. Big video game boy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not dying to play the new one yet. I'm really excited to, but I'd rather see some Mando first. There we go.
Okay. Nice.
What about you, BC?
You know, I'm an Ahsoka boy. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it too. I'm just nervous.
Oh, I'm nervous
Thanks.
as hell. I'm incredibly nervous after everything after Andor is going to make me nervous because it was just so good constantly and got better as it went on, defying all odds of getting better every single week.
Yeah.
It's set a pretty high bar, I think, for me, and I've got to as I always say that I must do, temper my expectations with Star Wars stuff as it is being released, which I fail to do so often, as was the case with Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. But we'll see. We'll see if the lessons of 2022 can be applied in 2023 with tempering expectations. But yeah, I think Ahsoka's the one that I'm most looking forward to as a favorite character of mine. We'll see what we've got in store.
A lot of content. There's a lot more cargo bay on the way. But for
Ooh,
now, BC,
yeah.
do we want to give our rankings of all Star Wars content?
Of all, yes, all Star Wars content
Minus
everywhere.
games, comics, books.
Minus, yes. This is going to be television shows, movies, primarily. This is what we're
video
looking
media.
at. Yes, filmed video media released on the television and then the movie screen. So I started like trying to type the list of what was out there just from my memory, and then swiftly realized how much more was out there that I forgot about when I first typed it out. So I think I've got most things.
I didn't even try to include everything because there are some things that like I don't need to decide if Ewoks is better or worse than droids or whatever. Like I'm just not experienced enough in Ewoks.
So I've broken this up. I haven't done a traditional 1 through 30 or whatever this is. I've got tiers, okay, and it's largely
for me, baby.
All right, so largely what I've got are we've got what I call top tier Star Wars, and we'll get to that. And we got mid. Now mid isn't bad. It's just kind of like, do I want to watch it? I don't know. And then we've got the what I'm calling the bottom tier. These are all very well thought out names. The bottom tiers, the bottom tier is something that I've written as
bottom tiers or something, or a name I have for something else altogether.
I had some bottom tiers earlier. The bottom tier is actively bad, or I haven't paid attention to.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start with my bottom tier, with things that are actively bad, or that I haven't paid attention to. At the very bottom of the bottom tier is the holiday special. It is actively bad. The novelty of the weirdness only gets it so far because it is so long and so bad. You enter sort of a time loop where you start to feel like minutes are hours and hours are days, and then you realize that the Wookiees have just finished shuffling around the living room for the first 8 minutes of the special, and you still have like an hour and a half to go. And at that point I was like, oh my god. So there are fun things about it in terms of the novelty of it, but it is so spectacularly bad that I do have to give it the last spot on the bottom tier here. I've also grouped together Droids and the Ewok Adventures. I'm sorry to the cartoon enthusiasts who do love those. I've watched a couple episodes. I did give Droids a shot. It's not for me, so that's why it falls into my haven't really paid attention to it. But having watched the one episode, there was no part of me that's like, I gotta see what the next adventures of that guy who's got half of his head shaved and his other buddy, and then the droids are gonna be up to.
I think
next week.
In general, those cartoons come from an era where if you don't have nostalgia for the cartoons, they were not of an exceedingly high quality of animation or storytelling. It was a lot of filler on cartoon television. in the 80s.
And I've got this is my last one that's sort of in the bottom tier. And this is mostly because I haven't paid attention to it. Is the Resistance cartoon. This is the one that's tied more to the sequel trilogy in terms of where it falls on the timeline. I haven't really paid attention to it. So for that reason and that reason alone, I'm sort of like, it's kind of just down there for me. I haven't felt really compelled to watch it. Might be something that I will try at some point in 2023, but for 2022, Resistance just kind of flew under the radar for me. I'm gonna go. Now we're stepping up into the mids. This
Right.
one fell right on the edge of being a bottom tier, which was the Book of Boba Fett, which did come out this year, which I think we talked about extensively.
Yes.
We did these. We streamed our reactions with these on Twitch with Jordacious, I believe.
Yeah,
Was how we covered.
Those might
Book
not
of
even
Boba
be
Fett.
in the podcast feed. I think
It's
those
not.
are...
I think it's pre-pod.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. But the Book of Boba Fett happened this year, and just kind of like a whisper in the wind has left my brain. I think there's a
I
few
think
redeeming
about it a
things
lot.
about it. Yeah,
I think about it a lot.
There's a few redeeming things for me, mostly the Mandalorian episodes that are. But yeah, that's kind of where I have Book of Boba Fett. I'm curious, in terms of your own personal rankings, where's Book of Boba Fett sort of landing for you here?
I mean, I can do it in the context of my list, but yeah, it's low on the list. I mean, it just lost potential, hurt my feelings with it. But I will say those Mando episodes, and especially one of the highlights for the year for me, for good or evil, was just a full episode of CGI Luke and Grogu. Like, that is one of the wildest things I'll ever see in my life.
Yeah.
Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, just saying that was really odd to turn on the television one night and see that episode play out in front of my eyes.
It was
surreal.
It is fun, like to reflect on Book of Boba Fett. The week-to-week journey of that show was nuts.
It's
like
it just hurt after a while so much when they started ruining the good part.
I feel like we had relatively if not high hopes, we had some hope after the first two episodes. It was like, oh, it's kind of cool if it's going down this Tuscan village sort of thing.
Yeah,
and he's hanging with the Tuscan crew, and then it just was like, no, they're dead. New stories, and you're just like, wait, what?
A lot of it that's dumb, I was down with. Like, that wasn't what bothered me. But yeah, when it got off track and squandered the potential of the Tuscan Raiders and didn't make sense. I was talking to someone the other night about it, and it was just like, the show did literally end with, I don't know, what are we doing here? What are we going to do next? I kind of don't know why I've done this. And it should have been about strengthening the Tuscans, bringing them into Jabba's palace, establishing them as the heads of the Dunlan Sea, or the Dunlan Wastes. It
would have made a lot more sense for the lore, I think. But I don't know. It just... And the fact that it was like, at a certain point, they're like, okay, now we're going to do some... in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett show.
Which isn't what I wanted. Like,
not in the Book of Boba Fett.
No, yeah, it was confused. I mean, I like those episodes, but I was like, what about Tamura? I want to go see what he's up to.
It was just such a weird thing to have happen. It's like, I don't understand. I like, from a storytelling perspective, I'm like, why is this occurring? Other than like Jon Favreau wrote it and was like, well, I do the Mandalorian too, so let's do some Mando episodes now. It's like, why don't you do those when you're doing the Mandalorian show instead of taking them out of the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah.
But we do get Luke Skywalker and Grogu and Ahsoka all interacting and mingling in a Book of Boba Fett episode.
It was weird. They shot the Sarlacc with Boba Fett's starship. That was also really weird. There was crazy stuff in that show. So,
So that's why it falls on my just above the bottom tier list because it just had to me what I would just say is squandered potential. Because
Yeah.
I will watch anything with Tamura Morrison. I think he's fantastic, but the the end result that we got was just kind of like, I don't know, this is a strange television show.
Yeah.
And I genuinely have a lot of my list is like, do I have a desire to go back and like at any point just like pop on a Book of Boba Fett episode? And there is no part of me that's like, yeah, let's watch one of those.
Oh, I've done it several times with that Mando episode.
But see, even then, I'm like, I'm watching that because it's a Mando episode.
Yeah.
It's such a slight to what the Book of Boba Fett was. So
Yeah.
I've got that there. And then just above that, I'm gonna go to the Clone Wars movie, which is the one that's got Stinky the Hutt.
Uh-huh. I remember seeing it in theaters.
Yeah. See,
I remember it fondly.
I watched all of Clone Wars, the animated series, multiple times before I ever watched the movie. And then I watched the movie. I was like, "This is garbanzo beans compared to the actual show." I mean, like all the seeds are there, but it was obvious that this was like a television show that they're like, "No, make it do a movie,
Yeah.
release it theatrically. It'll be a great idea." And then a lot of people were like, "That was a bad idea."
Yeah, I was at the age where I was like, this is a great idea. They should put all the dumb TV shows I like in the movie theater.
And I can imagine, like, if I had been the right age, this is sick. Like, this is great. But watching it now as an adult after having watched the entire series, you're like,
yeah, it's
it feels like a weird swing to call this a movie where it's like, that's just 3 episodes of the Clone Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just sort of lives there. Now, this one, I don't know. I just put Tales of the Jedi here because I was fine with Tales of the Jedi, but I was just like, I don't know, it's mid. It's mid to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Tales of the Jedi, I watched it maybe twice and really have no takeaway from it. So I think I'd even put it in the low tier just for sheer lack of like anything memorable for me, except for Yaddle. Yaddle was in
Yaddle. I mean, Yaddle and Justice for Dooku, I think, are are the big takeaways. But yeah, I mean, it's just sort of like it's cool that it happened, but it is just such like a blip on the radar that whatever. We're gonna get into the first Skywalker saga movie here, where I'm gonna go Rise of Skywalker.
Hey, made it to mid.
Hey, it's in the mids. I did put Solo above it because if I think about it, I think I would rather watch Solo.
Yeah.
So I've got Solo right above it. And then we're going to go with another one of this year's big releases, which is Kenobi, which I think is firmly, I think it might be right in the middle of my list here, if not dead middle. A lot of stuff that as a Kenobi boy, I liked, right? A lot of fun Kenobi things, but overall, I'm just going, it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
I think.
It had some quality issues, but I overall I did enjoy it.
Yeah. Then I go Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones. We're gonna hit some prequel stuff. I'm bumping up Bad Batch. I like Bad Batch. I've got some Bad Batch hype going on right now. Because I forgot how good those were, and I went back and I rewatched it not too long ago. I was like, Bad Batch was good. It's really long because it was a long season. It was a week-to-week thing. But I think once I sat down and was able to like watch more than one at a time, I was like, oh, this is a lot of fun. Then I go Visions. I love Visions. I'm looking forward to more Visions. I love what it means creatively. I think most of them are good. Even the ones that aren't good, I'm glad they exist, and it's a wild, fun thing to watch. And they're like popcorn, They're quick. You can get in and out of them. And the ones that are really good are like really good. So I've got Visions. I've got Gendy's Clone Wars as we're moving to the very top of my mid table here. And then capping out, before I get into my Star Wars Prime, my premium top tier Star Wars, I've got Mandalorian right on the cusp. Now I feel like this is controversial, but I feel like I've just sort of fallen off of the Mandor hype because of how like in love I felt with Andor. And I don't know, maybe that's not fair to Mandalorian, but it has like slid down the list with its like adventure of the week. But I feel like season 3 might pump it up in terms of what they're doing.
Can I also offer up that what's her face, Cara Dune, being all over Mando is just kind of a bummer for me personally. Like, because I've gone back to rewatch some of those episodes, and I do love them when I watch them, but there are a
Yeah.
lot where I look at it and I'm like, I don't really want to watch the Cara Dune episode right now.
Why is that, Adam? What do you want to elaborate on? Why
No,
it's
I
such
don't
a
want to
bummer?
waste any of my. I don't want to waste any more of my life with it. But
No,
yeah,
I wouldn't either. And if you don't know why we particularly wouldn't fall in love with Kira Dune, just Google her and you can probably find out. And if you do love her for those reasons, you can probably stop listening, which is fine.
recast her.
Yeah, it's Star Wars has a big problem with recasting people. A
Yeah.
wig and a costume go a long way, which I think is my news for everybody at Star Wars. You can do great things with a wig and a costume. And then we're going to get into, I think this is a top 10. Let me just double check. 1, 2. This is a top 10. I go Force Awakens. I go Clone Wars. I go Rebels. I go Last Jedi. Revenge of the Sith above Last Jedi. I think I have fall.
Wow.
I think I have hit like a this year. Like just
That makes my year then. That's the highlight of the year for me.
I've just I don't know. There's something about going back, even with all the flaws. It's very nostalgic for me, and like when I watched it, like it was a very angsty Anakin sort of age.
Yeah.
Whenever I watched it too. But all of the Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff is I thoroughly just will like buy into it every single time I watch it. So it's just as like a fun, enjoyable thing every time. Where if anyone was like, "You want to watch Revenge of the Sith?" I'd be like, "Yeah, let's do it." It's fantastic. Right above that, I go Return of the Jedi. I go Rogue One in the number 3 spot.
Ooh,
Andor.
nice.
Right behind A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. That's where I have that landing at the of 2022. So high are my thoughts of Andor. It's in the 3 spot.
I love it.
So I've moved that very high in my as of the end of this year. So welcome to the top tier of Star Wars, right behind Empire and A New Hope for me.
Welcome to the top, Andor. BC, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna in reverse order, starting from the top.
I love it.
Go back through my list.
Yeah.
So this year, and this year in particular, I'm a big Episode 4 boy. So my list is basically the original trilogy list is backwards from what it usually is, where we have Episode 4, Episode 5, Episode 6. And then right after that, we have Andor coming in at number 4. Then we have Episode 3. And then we have The Mandalorian. And then we have Gindy's Clone Wars 2004. Episode 2. Rogue One, Kenobi, Rebels, Clone Wars, Episode 7. Episode 9. Book of Boba Fett, Solo, Episode 1. I guess I missed Episode 8. Episode 8 would come in under Episode 9. And then Solo, Episode 1, and then finally BC. I had Bad Batch at the bottom because I don't remember watching that show and enjoying it very much. I guess I need to give it another shot. Like, I didn't dislike it. Again, it was just one of these things that kind of passed by, and I'm not looking forward to the new season too much. I'm more like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch a lot of that.
See, I'm excited. Yeah. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to. It's
I'm going to.
All right, well, good.
Of course.
That's good. But yeah, I mean, there's just, I think one of my big takeaways is that there's so much out there. It's crazy to think how much Star Wars there is and how, anyone's lists and rankings can reflect how you feel about any of those things. Like, there are people who are like, I will ride or die for the prequel trilogy. It's like, fantastic, amazing. Like, if that's your thing, go for it. There's animation, there's really weird bad movies, there's fantastic groundbreaking films. I mean, there's all
I
sorts of
listened to
stuff.
like 15 books. I played through probably 6 games, 6 Star Wars games this year, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think oftentimes, I think all the way back to the first time that you said, "Hey, do you want to come on a Twitch stream and talk about Star Wars with me?" And I was like, "Yes." One of my big takeaways were, I think one of the questions you asked was like a general, like, what is your favorite thing about Star Wars? And to me, it's the sandbox universe that is Star Wars, that does allow for all of these creative outlets for people in the world. I mean, like, it was one of my original things as a child, and I think for kids, where it's like I got to let my imagination run absolutely wild thanks to this galaxy a long time ago, far far away, and just get to let my imagination roam free, and to see all the ways that is manifested in all forms of media. I think is generally a good thing.
And it's happening for real for the first time in a while, where we have things like Visions and things like Andor, where it's
Yeah,
like, oh, okay, this is different.
yeah. I think I don't know, because obviously the shift to Disney is such a, I don't know. There's pros and cons to that, but you are starting to see the mouse loosen up a little bit in terms of what this is, and I think that's definitely a good thing. I mean, I'm sure they still have some very tight-fisted control over that sort of stuff, obviously. But the all of the, what is it, the no, the High Republic stuff that's coming out. I mean, that's a really exciting project that exists in comics and
Dark
books,
Horse
young
is
adult.
publishing Star Wars comics again. That's a
Yeah,
big thing this year for me. Even though I don't really read that many comics, just the idea that Dark Horse has a hand on Star Wars again makes me really happy.
yeah. I mean, there's so many avenues for anyone to enjoy. So it's been fun diving into a lot of those things this year, and
Yeah,
looking
it's
at
been
the
a
list. Just
crazy year for
yeah,
Star Wars content. We got Kenobi and Andor in the same year. Bonkers. I'll never forget the Kenobi premiere at the Star Wars convention.
yeah. Talk about reflections from 2022. You went to Star Wars Celebration and got to watch the Kenobi premiere in a room with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, and the Hayden,
Yeah,
and I met Ian McDiarmid and all that. Yeah, it was great. But it's amazing that that was even topped by just Andor being really, really good. That was
man.
definitely the
Yeah,
highlight of the year.
definitely the highlight for me as well was the quality of Andor, and to me, that can set an expectation for what Star Wars can be going forward. Now that we know that is something that exists. I mean, to me, it's like almost a miracle that exists on
Yeah,
Disney with
I
some of
can't
the
believe it.
themes that it is
Yeah,
handling, which I think is good. Like, allow that to go out, and continue. And they're shooting season 2. I think that might be 2024, but
I'm sure. Yeah.
it's being filmed, and it's already on its way. So if nothing else, we will still have one perfect television season of
I
Star
hope.
Wars.
I hope the magic can come back together again.
Yeah,
But for now, I am just enjoying the thrill of when I reconnect with friends, and then I say, "Hey, there's Star Wars that's like really good to talk about." I'm gonna try to savor that forever.
I think
I felt that way a little bit when Episode 3 came out, because to me, Episode 3 was so much better than Episode 1 or Episode 2 had been. It was like,
yeah.
yes, we're ending on a high here. But Andor has been like, this is what I've wanted since I was 10, like, or 5, actually.
And I will say, continue to spread the gospel of Andor, everybody, because my experiences has been largely because you and I are obviously super plugged into Star Wars and are totally on top of it. Or anytime I talk to someone that I know or I'm friendly with, I'm like, "Have you watched Andor yet?" And if they haven't, you get to have the experience of being like, "Watch the first 3 episodes all together, and then tell me what happens after you watch those first 3." Because they're gonna watch all of them, and then they're gonna be like, "Andor was really good," and you're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I know, I told you, right?" It feels like it's been a little hard to get the ball rolling for some people because it is sort of a weird property, right? Like, it's Cassian Andor. He's the guy from Rogue One.
Yeah,
Whatever. It's
that's
like
not an easy on ramp into the
it's a ve- it's
conversation.
it is a very hard on ramp. Once you can get people on there, like, I think universally people have been like, "Oh yeah, that's really good,"
Yeah.
you know. So if you are listening and you still haven't checked out Andor, shame on you. But do yourself a favor and go check it out.
Well, BC, I guess that's our year in review kind of wrapped up. Do we have any other business to attend to here?
No, but maybe we should talk a little hobby talk. What do you think?
Ooh, maybe we should go into the eastern corner of the cargo bay.
That's right. Yes, where all the hobby
where all the
talking
hobby
occurs.
stock is, and do a little bit of that. BC, I do just want to wish all of our listeners a fantastic new year. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. We're all alive on this spinning ball still. Congratulations. Thanks for listening to the Cargo Bay. I got high hopes for next year, VC. Do you have any high hopes for the Cargo Bay? What do you want? What is your New Year's resolution for this starship?
For our starship? I personally would like to be a lot better at this next year. And a lot more on top of my stuff. I feel like I've fallen apart at the end of the year with the holidays.
I think I didn't read the article, but I think I saw a headline in Slate that was about how we've kind of fallen off here at the end of the year. There's kind of a drop in quality, and
well, the emails too. I started going through, and they did reflect poorly upon us. But no, I mean, to get into, we can do kind of like the Doughboys year end. Just the airing of grievances. Did you listen to that episode, by the way?
Yeah.
It was so good.
It was like an episode from like 5 years ago.
It was. I loved it. It was so much fun. But yeah, I don't want to be so much of a Mitch. I just in terms of executing on a vision, I think I can be better at that.
I certainly don't look at you as a Mitch, BC, and I certainly don't look at myself as a Weiger. I look at myself kind of more like a Han Solo type, and when I think about you, I think kind of a Han Solo type.
Just a couple of Han Solos out here. Yeah, I mean, I genuinely, to speak truth, I genuinely do love doing this. If for no other reason than we just get to talk about Star Wars together. If people are listening, fantastic. If not, I'm glad that we talk about Star Wars together. And at least to some degree, I'm allowed to amuse myself and hopefully you to some degree. I really do enjoy doing this.
And BC, I think even if, we were only going to do episodes about episodes of Star Wars, we would still have to sit at like 40 episodes a season or something. But I believe I think we're close to 40 episodes of the Cargo Bay. We're somewhere around there. So it's basically almost a full year of content. I'm looking forward to seeing where we are a year from now, 70 years from now, 90 years from now, 175 years from now.
You and I have both figured out how to stave off our oncoming deaths so we can continue podcasting.
I would like to think it's because we made it to the 1% and we're leeching off of everyone, below us on the social ladder, including like physically drinking their blood to stay in our youth.
Oh yeah, no, the transfusions of the blood of the youth is definitely going to be on our radar.
The transfusions of the blood of the youth sounds like an emo band from my high school.
Speaking of 2023 resolutions, Ronald Reagan's, we got to get back together.
Oh my goodness.
I think this is happening. I think it's happening.
Well, let's talk about that off pod, BC. But anyway, if you've listened to us at all this year, thank you so much. We'll be around. Leave us comments, send us an email, do all the things. And yeah, Happy New Year to you. And for now, bye forever.
Go snoke yourselves.